How to repair, fix a chainsaw that won't start or stay running. Hello and thank you for stopping by. Today I'm going to show you how to start and keep this Homelite 4218C chainsaw running. A friend of mine asked me to take a look at this chainsaw. He had someone fiddle around with the screws and he said it ran, then it wouldn't run, it wouldn't stay running. So I said everything was fine until they played around with the screws. Well, I made the mistake of going by what I was told. Now let me point out a few things. I want to give you a couple of tips here. Whenever you're working on a piece of equipment that you don't know anything about, if you could get some information on it, that's great. But don't make the mistake I just made working on this unit. I spent 15-20 minutes playing around with it. I got it to start and it would stall. And I started taking it apart, and I'm going to show you what I found. Also, if this is your unit and you played around with these screws, the adjusting screws, and you don't know where you left it off, if you have this Homelite 4218C, what you do is turn in the low screw all the way. Don't force it, just turn it in until you feel it's set. Same thing with the high screw. Then you want to back out the high screw 1 1/4 turns. The low screw you want to back out. It's on the other side here. The low screw you want to back out 3/4 of a turn, and then the idle screw you want to turn that in 1 1/4 turns. Once the saw is running, let it warm up, then make your adjustments. But now let's get back to this saw that's not running and I didn't know what it was. Let me go over what you should be looking at first. Number one, you want to make sure the fuel is clean. There isn't any water in the fuel, there isn't any debris in the tank. You want to make sure the fuel filter is in there, that it's clean, that it's connected. In this case, I just dumped the fuel and I made a batch of fresh fuel. I picked up some fuel, and you want to use a quality 2-cycle oil with the right mix. Your fuel is good. You want to make sure you have a fuel filter in there. The fuel filter is clean and it's attached. You want to check the fuel lines and the primer bulb. Make sure they're attached and they don't have any cracks in them. You see this one over here is okay. You want to make sure the air filter is clean. If the air filter is clogged, that'd be like keeping it on choke all the time. So that would cause you a problem. Once you get that all set, then you want to check the muffler. You have to pull this cap off. You want to check the muffler. Look at the screen. There's a screen arrestor in there. If it's clogged with carbon, you burn it off and clean it or buy a new one. Oh, and the obvious. You have to make sure you have spark, fuel, and compression. So that's all taken care of, and it's still not starting. Now we get into it. What I want to point out also, these adjusting screws, unless you're going into higher elevations, lower elevations, whatever your case may be, they often don't have to be adjusted. Once in a while, they may need a little tweaking, and a tiny tweaking, not much. Usually, if your saw isn't running right, it's something else. If you went through everything I just mentioned, and you set the adjusting screws the way I said, and it won't start, it's a very good chance that the carburetor has to be taken out and cleaned. You might need a couple of diaphragms in the fuel pump itself, or a complete replacement. Anyway, let me get this off, and I want to show you what I found after I wasted 15 to 20 minutes. And I should know better. This hood or cowling's only held on by 2 screws. They're Torx screws, and this one happens to be a T20. I have a link down in the description for everything that I have here. If you need any of the tools or any of the supplies. Okay. The first thing I found when I took this apart was the spark plug was loose. I tightened it up. I don't even know how it started with that loose plug. But look at this. This carburetor's loose. See the way that carburetor's moving back and forth? With that carburetor loose like that, it's sucking in air between the carburetor and the engine head. So it's sucking in that extra air. No matter how much you adjust these screws, you can never get this thing to run right. So what I'm going to do now is tighten up this carburetor. There's only 2 screws to tighten it up, and these are Torx screws also. Let's see what size they need here. This is a T, I can't read it. This is a T15. I'm going to tighten this carburetor up, reconnect the spark plug, adjust these screws the way I mentioned in the beginning, put fresh fuel in there, then we'll crank it over and see what happens. I want to point out that the screws in here are what they call a Pac-Man screw. I have a link down below with the different screwdrivers you could buy. Some are spline, some are Pac-Man. The old style ones had a regular screw on it. Now you saw when I turned this, as I was turning it in, that shut off the fuel and it stopped. I believe this carburetor is going to need a clean out due to it's not really responding to the adjustments on the screw. Generally, as you lean it out, the saw will run at a higher RPM. Then as you give it more fuel, it'll go to where it starts going to a higher RPM again. And then you want to back it down to just about where it's going to stall. Then you go to the high side. But the high side was good on this because it was running fine when we had it on the high side. So I'm going to start this again, give this a little bit of a turn here, and see what we have. Okay, still not enough. And when you turn this screw, you're not giving full turns. You're giving a quarter of a turn, an eighth of a turn. Should have left it alone. I think we had it right off the bat when it started. But I want to show you the effect turning these screws has on the saw. Okay, back to that. I got it back. Okay, one other thing. When you turn this idle screw in, if you have it turned in too much and the chain is rotating, let it run, let it warm up a little bit, and then just bring it back a little bit to keep this chain from rotating. It's a dangerous situation with this chain revving around. I mean, you do have a brake, but so you don't want to burn that brake out, stress out the engine. So just adjust it right. And that's it. I want to get a little bit more detail on adjusting this, but the adjustment on here was just what I said in the beginning. It was just 3/4 of a turn on this little screw over here, and that was right on the money. If you have any questions or comments, post them down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. It does help. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Hit that Joe Z button. And not to miss my new videos as I upload them, please ring that bell. And until next time, stay safe.